Audio test. Formerly known as Tyranny Unmasked, currently known as Cultivate Hearts. We are live. We are in the Matrix. We are here on the edge of existence. We are waiting to see if anyone wants to come and chat with us, and we will see if any conversation is born. The only thing we have to talk about is what we see here and now. Feel free to come forth. Bring your concerns, bring your questions, anything. Nothing is off limits. Everything is here to be dug into, to be exposed. The truth will present itself. Nothing is off limits on this stream until the internet decides that we are evaporated. We are allowed to use what we call freedom of speech. That little thing called the Second Amendment, which is honestly just a illusion of the mind. We still practice it. You know why? Because we have a voice. And whatever form that manifests itself, we are free to use it. So, again, if you're out there, if you have questions, if you need to elaborate on something, you're concerned about something, that is one of the things that I will grant you. I will dive into any question. Nothing is off limits. There is no fear here. Fear is an illusion of the mind. Fear is an illusion that our culture has been bred into. It is something that we are growing out of. We have to learn to face things and to accept them, but not accept them in the sense that we can no longer look at reality through the eyes of what is true. So again, we're here in the Matrix. We are practicing what we have. We have a voice. We have eyes to see. We have ears to hear. And apparently the last stream that I did, YouTube didn't like that. They let me know quickly. Just this casual little stream conversation between friends about religion and our belief systems was enough for them to take away even more of my YouTube illusory freedoms. Hello world. Hello YouTube. So I'm going to see if YouTube is live right now and if anyone's watching. And is it even worth our time today? Because honestly, I am here. I'm here ready to talk to anyone about anything. So I'm going to wait here for a few minutes, see if anyone stops by. If they do, we'll chat. If not, we'll move on to the next thing. So while we're waiting for people to stop by, one thing that's been pressing on me as an individual that lives in the same existence that you live in is that it is truly a matrix, not in the sense of what movies show us necessarily. We can extrapolate that and interpret that internally, but when it comes to a matrix, what that's implying is that you can watch this thing go by. You can sit there and refuse to participate in the world, the routines, the structure, all of that you have been built and bred into and you have accepted as normality. If you stop and inside you're like, no, I'm just not doing this. If you stop and you sit there and observe what's happening around you, you will quickly understand the entire concept of what the Matrix is. First of all, you will notice all the things that pull you away from the point of observation. And that point of observation is what people call meditation. But really, all that is sitting there and being present with what's happening internally. And so, what you quickly realize is that you are heavily addicted. You are completely enthralled in everything that's pulling you around like strings, which is the Matrix. It's very, very easily displayed in so many different things. How's it going, Jamal? what I have realized is that there's very little to talk about outside of conflict in itself. And on the creation of this channel, it was bred on conflict. I was enthralled in conflict. And as I'm quickly realizing, is my heart even in the expression of conflict? Where does that lie? How's it going, guys? Anybody out there with questions, feel free to ask them. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to talk about your concerns, your internal conflicts. I try to be as unbiased and straightforward and truthful as I possibly can. I realize that in my world, I can't talk to many people about things that concern me. And I realize that that is a thing that is common amongst most of us, if not all of us. How's it going, little mystery? What do we have without conflict? Isn't that how the world started? How does peace come into play? Really, conflict, like you said, isn't that how the world started? And you start to think of the concepts of yin and yang and the left and right polarity that's going on. And I think an understanding comes into play where you're like, okay, it's not a conflict, but our minds turn it into conflict. So then we think that we have to fight it rather than work with it. I'm posing devil's advocate. That's all I have. A devil's advocate is what I usually end up falling into. See, if I sit down with my family and they have a conversation going and then they start to get on one side or the other, I'm usually the person that pops in and has to say, hey, what about this? Maybe these sides aren't really opposed to each other. Maybe they work with each other. Maybe if that realization was made, maybe we could actually get things done and accomplish things. Maybe we could actually overcome the extreme poverty. Maybe we could overcome this system that we feel that we're trapped in, but it's not really. We are in this mindset that we are stuck in it. But until we overcome, or not even overcome, because if you think about it, that term overcome is something that is also expressing conflict. But maybe if we can learn to work through these things, we see it through. We realize that we were given eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart that feels the truth within it. That thing that even if nobody can meet a point of accept, nobody can agree on something, there's always this, well, this or that. I'm still dealing, like on my point of view, I'm still dealing with my family still saying that I can't believe Biden is doing this, or I can't wait till Trump does this, or how about this person? And will that person fix it? Will this person fix it? And what that does is a projection of the inner conflict that we are all dealing with, but it is much easier to project that conflict onto others rather than actually coming to real solutions and real progress in our own life. When I wear headphones, I tend to have weird lisps. It's just something that happens. How's it going, guys? Anybody out there? Will Jesus fix it? When do we ourselves fix it? Says Little Mystery. I think that's the message that Jesus was trying to preach, because the kingdom of heaven is found within. What did he mean about that? That's a good one, huh? Actually, on that note, I'm going to look that up. I'm going to look that up under the thing. If we have like a subject that we really find interesting, I can pull it up on this browser and I can swap it over to the screen cap. But until now, I'll have it to where the chat can scroll by, and hopefully we can inspire conversation and see if we can bring anything out. So I'm going to look that up. The kingdom of heaven is within. Let's see what the Matrix Internet gives us here. So it says in Luke 17:20 to 21, Jesus says, "The kingdom of God does not come with observation, nor will they say, 'Look here,' or 'See there,' for indeed the kingdom of God is within you." I don't know about you, but that implies something very, very real to me. And I'm not Christian. And we actually addressed that in our last stream. And I think I heard a few people. And, it is what it is. The truth is the truth. You neither can confirm nor deny it because it's always changing. It's an internal thing. Accountability, right? That's all we really have. Accountability. That is an interesting word, but I know what you mean. Accountability, meaning that you are the one that has to sit there with your actions or non actions, and that realization is made by yourself. You're not projecting it onto a higher authority outside of yourself. It doesn't mean that you can't learn from others. We have to be accountable for what we believe too, is what Little Mystery says. I like the name Little Mystery. There's a lot of little mysteries out there. I'm very interested in little mysteries. Life or circumstances. The word circumstances is also interesting because it implies circling, right? You're circling the stance. And then life is just what you wake up and experience every day. There's no, like, everyone experiences life. I woke up today and I had to do certain things to survive. I have to go out in this 105 degree weather Fahrenheit and work really hard. Work really hard to have healthy food, because the food, I can't just get the bottom tier food. And I'm learning and teaching myself how to garden and maintain my own food in the little amount of land I have to work with. And the circumstances are not ideal for most, but we have to work with what we have. But yeah, that life, and most of us are like, we wake up into that and we find it hard to face that. And so we open up our phone, we open up the internet, we look at what's going on, and we project it on into either Facebook, we project it onto TikTok, we project it onto politics, on wars that aren't even in our backyard. It is important to say that, yeah, if my family and people in my community or country or state are going and fighting in other wars, and I'm somehow attached to that, and I'm not saying anything or putting out effort to try and prevent that, I can see where that's a real commitment that you put yourself towards and express, which is a real thing for me, especially when I started the channel in 2015, because my friends and family and people I cared about were going to war in Syria and Iraq and Lebanon and all these other places, and dying or killing people or participating in that situation. So, um, being a voice from this region was very important to let people know, hey, I'm also from here. I was born and raised here. I know what people told me growing up, and I know that it's bullshit. I, I just want to let you know it's completely your choice. But maybe think about why you're going to war. Are you going to war because you actually think that that country is a threat to you and your way of living, or are you going to war because your life sucks, and maybe going out and taking it out in that field of experience would improve your life in some kind of a way, which you probably go and then you realize that that wasn't it either, and now you're full of PTSD of war and violence and unnecessary evils, or not even evils, because I mean, it's just gruesome. Like, death is a thing that shakes people. So then you're on that side of wanting to kill yourself, because not only did you not find the meaning in the war where you believed this storyline, but now you realize that still didn't fill that void inside of your heart. Little Mystery also says, I have found a friend who lived through Israel attacking Lebanon. His family fled to the U.S. Yeah, there's people here in my city from Lebanon, which is crazy. That he one of the guys that I know from Lebanon, he owned a store, and one day, just out of the blue, he got assassinated. Like, you don't have that here in this area. Like, there's just not, there's gang violence, but then you understand, because that is like interpersonal conflicts of smaller groups, local groups, and that's even rare now. But to just be assassinated in your front yard in broad daylight was crazy. That this person who was wealthy from Lebanon just all of a sudden just got clacked in his front yard. That was crazy. But yeah, man, it is the Matrix, the reality that we're experiencing. Yeah, militant violence. It's no bueno. I haven't really faced it personally, but just from what I've witnessed through the internet, and like I said, local conflict in itself, and I've seen people die, and it's just not a pretty thing to have to be a part of. And if you can prevent it, or just not act in it, I mean, it's not hard to ask to not to participate unless it's truthfully necessary. And believe me, when conflict is truly necessary, and it's not necessary right now. For the vast majority of the conflicts that exist on this earth, it's not necessary. They are really just funnels where they funnel people that are chaotic into it and let them kill each other, and they profit off of it. Just look at Iraq when they took all of these prisoners and released them in the Middle East. They just said, "Fuck it, let's do it. Let's see what we can do. Maybe we can fulfill a few prophecies along the way, and we'll profit off of it no matter what." So yeah, it's a crazy matrix we live in. No, I was not in the military. Had family in the military, but no, I was aware enough of the racket to not jump in that. That's not saying that my heart um didn't feel capable of doing those things, or if like I felt personally like I should do something to help, but I would say that it was God's gift and awareness that I was given that kept me from falling into that trap, because it really is a trap, because there's so many people here with good hearts, good intentions, and with the culture um kind of breeds this warrior mentality, and that energy, it's not necessarily evil, but if it's channeled into the wrong outlets, it can be very harmful and detrimental. And just like in the Middle East, you have a culture of extremists where they take a version of a religion, and they cherry pick the most violent, and they feed it to people that are on the edge and have a warrior spirit, however you interpret that. And instead of that strong spirit and soul and the willingness to fight and overcome challenges in society and raise our culture using that spirit um, in a positive direction, it's fed into, again, just self-destruction and collapse, and feeding them into each other. It's like, yeah, let's send our troops over to Afghanistan, all these people with strong hearts and a willingness to do something, and then then we'll run all these other people with a willingness to do something and have been fed different propaganda on both sides. Always propaganda. Let's feed them into each other, so then we don't have to worry about them potentially overthrowing their government because they find out how tyrannical it is, and how top down pyramid scheme it is, and how you never can really rise up out of it. But I truly believe that we can evolve out of that. We can continue to be aware regardless of the circumstances. People that get too loud always get smacked down. It's a common thing. You can look at the history of that, but really those are the people that end up not fearing the consequences and continue to push the boundaries of creating a culture that is beneficial for everyone, not just a certain amount of people that have awareness of how to take advantage of a system. But all of these people, all of them have to overcome their internal, like just like the people that are taking advantage, they have to overcome their inner demons, just like all of us that are being abused by that. They take advantage of our shortcomings, and thus they end up being the demons in that role. They're like, oh, well, if you're not smart enough to overcome this and to see that we're just taking advantage of you, you deserve the dirt that you roll in. So it is a dark era in that sense, but we're rising out of that. I truly believe that in my heart. Consciously choosing to not participate is the only way to succeed. Axiom Curb Community says, in what ways do you ever see the poor seizing the land? I wouldn't say seizing the land necessarily, but let me finish what you're saying. Or do you think the population will reduce until the elite families remain? So that's a good question, and I believe I can deliver a response here. But so seizing the land and the population is being reduced, because if we really sit back and we observe what's happening here, our food is killing us. Our food is minimal nutrition, very bare bones minimal nutrition. How it is being made is mass produced, and it's not because we can't create food and are not creating food and sustain enough food for everyone. It's because the entire food industry has been taken over the past 100 to 200 years, and every industry, by the way, by a very small few that are doing it for capital gains or gains for their own endeavors. They're not necessarily being led by a local centralized good reason. And so because of that, you're getting the bare nutrition, life expectancy, and intelligence and health. It all diminishes. So the majority of people who live on the bottom of that pyramid are dying and killing themselves. If they don't die from the lack of nutrition, the lack of knowledge, or kind of like the I'm trying to think here. What is that movie? WALL-E, where everyone has had every basic need conquered to the point to where they don't even develop a sense of independence and a will to strive for yourself. That's not a healthy living. That's just your cattle. You are Goyim at that point. And like I was saying earlier, that's how they see us. That's how they see you. And I got to be careful with the words that I'm using, because I'm not trying to, point anyone out, because it isn't unique, but it's just it's an observable phenomenon in our reality, our matrix that we wake up into. I believe that we can overcome this. I truly do. I don't know how long it's going to take, but we have to be real about what's happening. We are all addicted to things like sugar, and sugar, the sugar that we get, it's not from fruits, it's not from real food. It's cane sugar, and it's processed down to the bare minimum. That spikes your insulin. It doesn't have any fiber to process it. That produces gut bacteria and parasites, and those parasites continue to promote you to eat that way. That look up this stuff. Look up cleansing of your gut biome, your gut microbiome, and really it is a big issue. Just like any addiction, if you're addicted to sugar, you're addicted to carbohydrates, you're addicted to things that provide no fuel and are killing you, or making things grow inside of you that are killing you and parasitically killing you, you're gonna have all kinds of mental issues and dysphorias and whatever you call it. Uh, it's a massive problem, massive problem. Little Mystery says Monsanto has taken over lost seed crops, and GMO lab grown is becoming commonplace. Yeah, yeah, it is. It is something that has been handed down to us. It is our generational curse. But I do see a lot of people, even if there is no mass genocidal conspiracy, like people talk about Georgia Guidestone, and you know the number of conspiracies, and whatever truth is within them or not, the truth is proving the fact that our health is killing us, or the lack thereof. Sorry. So me, I'm currently practicing within my limitations. I let's talk about me for just 1 minute here, while more people are coming in and out, and they're gonna provide more questions and concerns, and we can expand a little bit more. Me personally, I make very little money, and some of it could be blamed on my stubbornness and my inability to shut my mouth up, and my inability to stop saying the truth. Um, I'm very aware of the racket, and so I have to do work for person to person and make very small amounts of money, and I am learning ways to circumnavigate that. I'm not going to expand too much on it because I don't want to invite any unnecessary eyes, but I've been struggling with that for my entire young adult life. And I'm aware of how expensive eating properly, if you're not growing the food yourself, which takes knowledge, will, and determination, because being a farmer isn't something you just snap your fingers and you're good at. You have to learn it. You have to stick with it. It's a seasonal process. You have to learn your natural environment and what works, what it takes to keep those crops. And not only that, it takes a knowledge of what your body needs and what is healthy for you, what isn't healthy for you. It's a lot of experimentation, and so most people that are raised into, again, this Wally society, they don't know or don't care, or they're not even aware that this is an option. And if they are, they are completely shut down and discouraged, because everything has just been easily handed. Give me my chicken nuggets, give me my candy, give me my McDonald's hamburger, that I can just go and I can work and make enough money and I can eat that and I'll be okay. And I don't know why I'm depressed. I don't know why I'm getting sick all the time. I don't know why I'm getting COVID-19. I don't know why I'm getting all these random illnesses, which are not random at all. It is clear as day what's happening now that I've spent the time to overcome it myself. But anyway, I'm eating better now. I only go to organic places that serve up organic, or I'm getting locally grown food from people that I know are not using pesticides, people that are using the best seeds available and the best possible sources, which is not perfect, by the way. There are always some caveat that you're like, but it's this and that. But just getting the ball rolling, man. It takes hundreds of dollars a month just to feed one person off of true food if you get it from an organic store. And I understand why it costs that much because of the to get that food to the market in the United States is so expensive. There's so many hoops and ladders that you have to go through. There's organizations set up to make this hard for the individual. Whereas Monsanto's, they have the full establishment behind them and they can just pump out whatever. And they call this like, oh, well, we have all these rules and regulations and hoops you have to jump through because of your health. We want to make sure it's good for you before it gets down to you. But it's not true. You're better off eating a random fruit that you just seen in nature or just growing in a ditch somewhere than you are buying a food from Walmart or a place where they take one seed and they replicate it in Axiom, and that seed is one that they have patented. So it's been grown in the lab and manufactured to just reproduce because they want quality I'm using my fingers right now, quality control in air quotes. Digital money is always a bad idea. Yeah, digital money, CBDCs. Can't wait for that, huh? Yeah, just one little solar flare and then all of a sudden, boom. Or you can fudge the money, but neither here nor there. That's why it's good to expand into multiple forms of assets. My physical money is not much, but I keep emergencies. I gold and silver and land, if you can find land, or if you have some kind of physical asset that someone assumes valuable in your area and it will be of value, it's good to have that on hand. Yeah, real estate is like a massive industry where I live in Texas. It's a racket. Actually of value, yes. Not, but I will say this because I've experimented with this, and I experiment with everything. That is my life. That's my journey. There are ways that you can make a lot of money with a little bit of money with cryptocurrencies and stocks. I'm not saying that that's where you want to keep your wealth, but it is an avenue you can make a lot of money. But you can lose a lot of money if you're someone that has no discipline and someone that is prone to gambling and someone that doesn't know how to learn and spend the time to do something correctly. But it isn't something that I'm telling everyone that is completely written off. There are ways you can free yourself of the matrix, even with digital currencies right now, until it has been completely curtailed and with CBDCs. They're going to make it as difficult as possible for people to make money and to free themselves. But it isn't something that is completely written off. Timing is everything. Yeah, I said that today. I said that today. I agree. Timing is everything. And there is a natural timing. There's a natural flow. Something that I've spent and experienced. And in one observation that you can take from this is that time isn't real. And when I say time, and this is funny that we're just saying time is everything, and I'm saying time isn't real, but the concept of timing is very true. Time isn't real because we have a Gregorian calendar. We have time where we have daylight savings time where we move back and forth. Time is not real. But what time our clock, our internal clock, is running off the day-night cycles. So there are things, I'm not saying subscribe to this, but there are things called planetary hours, and they're very real because it starts at sunrise to sunset. And if you observe planetary hours versus just the basic timing that everyone, like global time, you will notice that there is a flow to where we are natural beings that are living in a natural environment. You can start to pick up on how it affects people. You watch it from sunrise to sunset, and you keep up with these hours based on the time in your area. There's apps for this. Look up planetary hours. And observe, this is just a little homework experiment for you if you're listening. Look up planetary hours, set it to your local time, to your sunset, sunrise to sunset, and tell me it doesn't all of a sudden start to click and make sense that everything has a timing, a rhyme, and a rhythm. There, if you look up the seven hermetic principles, one of the hermetic principles is the principle of rhythm, and that's something that I experimented with, and like, is there truth to this principle of rhythm? And I just believe this is someone's observation that's trying to be truthful. It's a very interesting thing that I can't explain to you until you have seen it. That's for you to play with and experiment if you're hearing that. So Underhill says no internet, no digital currency, and you can't eat gold. Buy some chickens. Well, if you want to raise chickens and make your own eggs, I have family that does that, and I'm very thankful for that. They love their chickens, and they feed them very well, and the eggs they produce are very nutritious. And it's, yes, very, very much agree. Yeah, even gold at some point will not have value. But if you're trying to have a currency, gold is more sure than, say, a CBDC or a US dollar or a yen. Is If everything is taken away, could you survive off the land? Yeah, I could. I'm closer and closer to that every day. That's my ultimate goal, and that's really the only thing me personally I'm working towards. I'm working towards having an area where I can sustain myself and anyone that I care about. And this is something that if you feel like you want to do something with your life, I would also recommend is set up. It doesn't have to be massive, but find a way to have an area where you can sustain yourself and others, because there's no more security than having your own food, shelter, and infinite sustainability using natural sources. There's natural ways to collect water and to filter that water and to make sure that water is best for you as possible. There are natural ways to grow your own food, raise your own food, chickens, gardens, foraging, learn foraging. Shoot, you could live off of just mushrooms in the forest alone if you learn about mushrooms and then berries. And then how can I keep all of these things without having to, spend a fortune or constantly buy food from an organic store that it's less likely to kill me or put me in the grave sooner than later. Yeah, foraging is so helpful. Here, there's parks where I live, and there's blackberries, and I like to go and collect blackberries. They're really nice. Berries are pretty nutritious. I love blueberries, man. Blueberries are antioxidant, but blueberries don't really just grow wildly here. How's it going, guys? I'm actually gonna see if we got people watching the stream. We have 5 years. Cool. Anybody want to talk about anything? Completely free. The floor is free. We don't really have any particular rhyme or reason with this stream. We're just holding conversation and seeing what comes of it. Is there any news out there that's important to you? Is there any concerns? We will talk about them. We will find the truth. We will smash it. We will smash it. Fresh vegetables and fruits are amazing. They are. So the past week, I didn't really have enough money to go get my normal food, and so I was working really, really hard to get enough money to do that. And today, I went to the grocery store, and I couldn't believe how amazing that food was compared to what I had to eat the past week versus the food I got today. And it is light, it is night and day difference between the GMO stuff and the real stuff. You can tell the difference. you really feel the energy. So once you get into a relatively healthy state and you've entered homeostasis and you've cleaned out your gut biome, you eat good foods that are full of nutrition and full of life, you feel that. You feel the difference. You feel the energy as your body's breaking it down and feeding it to your whole system. You can feel it. Whereas if you ate a hamburger or some other bullshit, you're gonna feel like shit. So I'm not trying to roast people because I know everyone eats relatively poorly in our society. It's just that's my battle. That's where I've been fighting personally because I want to feel good. I don't like waking up and feeling miserable on top of being aware of the misery of everyone in my surroundings. I have to feel good to give that goodness out to other people. So, where are you guys from? Anyone from the US, the UK, Europe, Russia, the Middle East? How is it in your situations? Is it also the matrix like here in the US? How is your matrix versus my matrix? Have you created a or created have you were you born into have you created a situation in where you feel more free? World traveler. That's something I plan on doing is to travel to different places. I saw a shirt on a guy 2 days ago, and he had a hat on that said 777 across it, and he had a shirt on that said Zion Canyon, not Cannon, Zion Canyon. And I looked up Zion Canyon, and that is a place that's 243 miles north of the Grand Canyon. And the Grand Canyon is rather interesting if you've looked into, um, like, say, the real history about our Earth. It's a very interesting place because it's where massive floodwaters have ripped through that terrain and created this cavernous canyon. But I really want to go to that place because it's a very beautiful, serene place, but it's also like stepping into the history of what happened. And I believe that if we start to understand what happened in the past, we may be able to avoid such catastrophe in our future. Maybe we don't bring chaos down upon ourselves and recreate those stories that we hear in our religions of the people that tried to warn us and left behind monuments and buried them in the ground, such as Gobekli Tepe, and they're like, "Hey, something crazy happened." But yeah, I want to travel. I want to visit the world. Egyptian hieroglyphs. I can't talk today. Hieroglyphs, petroglyphs, and the Grand Canyon. Yeah. Oh, you're saying there are some in the Grand Canyon. I truly, I would not doubt that, man. You've been there. It's very spiritual. Yeah, just seeing the photos, I can tell you it's probably a very spiritual place. Anywhere where the earth has been moved to such a magnitude holds an energetic property within it, and that's something worth visiting while you're alive. There are some pretty cool places around here. Not anything too crazy, but I've discovered some interesting monuments here in Texas as well. I went to Austin, Texas, and this is one that you don't really hear people talking about, even in the the main. It's not even mainstream, but the like Randall Carlson and that area of people. You're the ones that get brought on to Rogan's podcast. They talk about those places. They talk about the Grand Canyon. They talk about the Eye of the Sahara in different places, but they don't really talk about Austin, Texas. And I think it's interesting that Joe Rogan is living in Austin, Texas, And when I went there personally in Austin, Texas, and I went to an area for a wedding, I stayed in an Airbnb, and as I was driving through the terrain, I saw how the land had been terraformed, how it had been shredded by water. It had been completely ripped up by water, and the couple that had the Airbnb, it was a very isolated place, and it wasn't like in the dense city populated area of Austin. It was further out. Um, they talked about how they find fossils all the time, and fossils from like ancient shells and whale bones and different things, and they showed me some, and instantly my brain clicked. I'm like, yes, that's what it was. And even where the wedding was held, there was this massive cliffside, but at the bottom of this cliffside was a river, and the river was very small. But as you start to observe it through the lens of maybe this was a large body of water that ripped through the area, you see, oh, this is just where the water had settled after all that massive water had completely exposed all this layers of earth and just left behind what was very thick or very compressed and hard, and ripped all the softer material out. It was a very eye-opening experience because I'd seen these places before, but not through the lens of, oh wow, this was something earth shaking that made this happen. So it was very spiritual experience, you could say. And the trees there were awesome. The trees were hundreds and hundreds of feet tall. It's something very cool. Devil's Tower, Four Corners. There's so much spiritual history all over the world. It's insane. Yeah, yeah. That is something that is very awesome, and I'm looking forward to seeing in person. I'm reloading the stream here to see if we got. You know what's crazy is that I got an email after my last live stream, and YouTube said your channel has lost access to advanced features. All I did was stream. I didn't even really touch anything controversial at all. Very self-censored. So it's at the point to where if you speak at all, we're going to remove your privileges. We don't like what you have to say. That's all it feels, man. They said they took away embedded live streams, pinned comments, external links to my video descriptions, and a couple of other things. It doesn't really matter at this point. YouTube is dead, but hey, what are you going to do? Make our own internet. No, the internet is a crazy thing. I can't wait till we overcome the need of it, because if you read the book The Invisible Rainbow and you learn about EMF and how that interacts with all living materials, then it will also begin to shift your perspective. It interacts with our spiritual capabilities, and I know spiritual is a trigger word for some people and a awesome word for others, but to me it's just an observation of something that's really happening. It's an extension of just our physical self, and everything has it. Everything has an extension to its capabilities. To it's an extension of awareness. It's more than just the meat. So yeah, if nobody else has questions or anything to talk about, is there any news? I don't watch the news anymore. I don't know what's important to anyone. I don't know what the internet's raving about now. The last time I gave a shit about it, or not even gave a shit. The last time I looked into it, people were talking about a balloon that was from China flying over, and Biden was threatening to shoot it down, and then you had Republicans saying, "Oh, he's not gonna shoot it down. He's not tough," and then he shot it down, and then they criticized that, and then you had, and I'm not Republican or liberal or even libertarian or any of that. I think it's insane. All of it's insane, but that was the last Last thing that got people riled up. We're gonna have another forced COVID thing. The crazy thing is if you're self-sustaining, even things like COVID-19, they don't even affect you. They don't even reach you. So you can truly escape the matrix. It just takes the heart and the will to do it. And that's what I'm doing. And that's what I encourage all of you to really sit there and think about. Can you escape the matrix? Is that where your heart is? Because that's where mine is. You said, where would I like to go? I would like to go again, like that Zion place, Zion Canyon. I want to visit the UK. There's a couple places in the UK that I'd like to visit. I want to go to Russia, actually. There are some pyramids that haven't been unearthed yet there, which I would think would be awesome to check out in Siberia. Because I'm like, yeah, I want to visit the pyramids. I want to visit all the common places. Devil's Tower would be cool. But wouldn't it be awesome to unearth something that no one has really seen yet? That would be really cool. But yeah, it's good talking to you, Little Mystery, and Jamal, and anyone else that may have been listening. And for the time being, I'm just going to stop the stream here. Peace.